asked to call police. Now to our big story of the night.
Dwight Jones was the defendant for your case?
Yes.
Scottsdale police defending their actions after this body cam video was released of a murder spree investigation that caught the world's attention. In that video, a witness gave detectives the name of Dwight Jones before he went on to kill others. Tonight, police are explaining why they didn't immediately pursue Jones. Team 12's Nicole Zymek has been tracking this story. She joins us with an update. Nicole?
Yeah, Joe, in all, Dwight Jones killed 6 people over 4 days. Most of them have been linked to a vendetta he had against his ex-wife. Tonight, Scottsdale police emphasize the fact that they had hundreds of tips coming in at the same time, including one from a key eyewitness that caused confusion.
So the last time you used Mr. Kit was 10 years ago?
Body camera video obtained by 12 News shows Scottsdale police detectives talking to attorney Elizabeth Feldman. Feldman represented Jones's ex-wife in their bitter divorce. 2 of her paralegals killed by Jones.
Dwight Jones was the defendant for your case?
Yes.
And Steve Pitt's the one that did the testimony?
The video reveals Feldman gave detectives Dwight Jones's name as a possible suspect in that very first interview Friday, even telling police she might have a possible address for him.
So he was living at some residence inn, which I can find in Scottsdale.
So why didn't Scottsdale police try to contact Jones that very night? Jones is believed to have killed mental health professional Marshall Levine that same day, and his final 2 victims that Sunday. In a statement to 12 News, Scottsdale police say, quote, "During the early parts of the investigation, we received hundreds of tips. Many pointed toward other individuals. In addition, police say an eyewitness was adamant the shooter was a white male." They add, quote, "Also at that time, we were still in rescue mode and trying to identify who would be a potential victim." Police say late Saturday, pieces began falling into place, including suspect vehicle information and a crucial tip from Jones's ex-wife. By early Sunday morning, officers tell us, the task force was able to make definitive links between the suspect vehicle and all 3 murder scenes. Police say they observed Dwight Jones for the first time that Sunday afternoon at 3:20 and never lost sight of him again.
Jones killed himself the following day when police surrounded his North Scottsdale hotel. You can see more of that body camera video on 12 News.